Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I think my marriage is over. Need support. Hey everyone. First time poster here. A friend recommended this subreddit when I explained my situation. I'm not sure if this even qualifies as infidelity. My friend said she thought so here I am. I'm not really sure what I'm hoping to get from this post. Maybe moral support, suggestions on how to navigate the path ahead of me. How to move on. Anyway, let me dive into it. Be warned, it's a long post. For context, I'm 33M, my wife is 27F. We've been together for 7 years, married for 2. Basically all of my wife's 20s have been with me. We have no children. We've never had any major fights or arguments. I always made it a point to fix any issues as they arose. One thing my parents taught me is never go to bed mad. And it's something I honestly have always tried to live by. The only major issue has been my low testosterone and erectile dysfunction. Her libido absolutely dwarfs mine. I tried to explain it to her. I want to have sex, but sometimes it'd be like if someone asked me if I wanted to go watch golf. Zero interest. It's something I didn't work as hard as I could to correct. My doctor prescribed testosterone injections, but I'm deathly afraid of needles and didn't inject myself. My wife is the same way and didn't inject me. So I relied on the little blue pill to perform. And she didn't want to know when I took it so that it could feel spontaneous. This put a huge strain on our romantic life. Beyond that, we've always been happy. In early August I got COVID and quarantined for 7 weeks, long story, by myself. She went to stay with family. This was a very long, almost 2 months for me. I never left the house except to get tested again, and when it was positive, I went straight back home. The cabin fever was real. My wife came over every day after work. She'd leave groceries on the porch, then she sat in her car in the driveway. I stood 8 feet away and we just talked for a while. I looked forward to those 30 minutes more than anything. It was the only face-to-face human interaction I got. One day we had a fight about the electric bill. She told me I was using too much and needed to be careful, since I was out of work and not getting paid. Money was right. This made me irrationally angry. I knew what she was spending money on. Clothes, going shopping, out to eat with friends and family. None of this bothered me. I knew she needed to things while she was away from home and we had more than enough money or afford the occasional dining out trip. I had never mentioned any of this spending to her, so for her to pick at the electric bill really irritated me. I was there 24/7 for a month, of course the bill would be higher. So I made the smart ass remark, I guess I'll just turn everything off then. Childish, I know. I regretted saying it as soon as said it. I knew she was only worried about the bills. I apologized for handling it poorly, told her I was frustrated at being cooped up. She didn't talk to me for 3 weeks. Didn't bring food, didn't text to ask how I was feeling, didn't answer my texts. Nothing. When I finally tested negative, I texted her and told her we needed to talk, that I was negative and she could come home. She told me she was visiting a female friend out of state, and we'd talk when she got back. We talked a week later. She told me she wasn't coming home. She said she doesn't love me anymore, and it was over. Boom. Just like that, out of the blue. She said I didn't speak her love language, that she needed physical touch and she just fell out of love with me. I had no idea what love languages were and I assumed her need for physical touch was referring to my erectile dysfunction. Like, I had never heard of the book about love languages. So I googled it, found it on Audible and listened to it at work. Twice. As an aside, I cannot recommend this book enough. If you are in a relationship, thinking about starting a relationship, or even if you're single, this helped me understand what my wife needed to feel loved. I love you isn't always enough. If I get nothing else out of this marriage, this knowledge alone will help me in my next relationship. Armed with this new knowledge, including that I even had a love language and she hadn't been speaking it either, I asked her to have lunch so we could talk. I told her I read the book and I understood her now, and that we can totally fix this if we want to. I asked her if she knew my love language, and she was a deer in the headlights. She honestly hadn't expected me to ask that question. I drove home my point that neither of us has been taking care of each other's needs, and if we both truly wanted to start doing that, our marriage could be saved. Nope. She said she felt no romantic feelings for me anymore. We'd make great friends, but it is over. I was crushed. During my quarantine, my wife mentioned to me how she and a male mutual friend, someone I've worked with and known for 12 years, had started walking together to lose weight. I honestly thought absolutely nothing of it. He's married with kids. My wife and him went through training at work together years ago and bonded. They've been friends for several years. Now I know all of you know where this is going. At the time I had no concerns at all. But in hindsight the red flags should have been smacking me upside the head. A week or so after our last talk, my wife came to the house to get a few things and asked if we could go for a drive. She was feeling down and wanted to talk, so I of course agreed. Then she told me she was hurt because her friend's wife wouldn't let him hang out with her anymore. Alarm bells started ringing. I asked her why she wouldn't let them see each other, and she said because she thought they were having an affair. I asked her if they were, and she said no, they've never done anything. I asked her why the wife would think they were having an affair, and she said it was because they spent 5 or 6 days a week together since the start of my quarantine. My wife even bought their kids presents when she was out of state visiting her friend. The other woman promptly threw them away. Then she told me, to my face, he just makes my life so full. It was a total gut punch. My wife telling me, without shame or hesitation, that another man makes her life full. I told her she needed to level with me and tell me whether or not she saw him as more than a friend, and she said that doesn't matter. That should have been the end of it for me, but this woman is my wife and I felt that I had to try and save our marriage all the way up until it's officially over. We didn't talk much about our relationship for a while, though we did hang out more frequently. In the back of my mind I knew the only reason she was spending more time with me was because the other man's wife wouldn't let them see each other anymore. The other wife found me on Facebook and called me, told me what she knew and asked if I knew anything. She told me she left a recorder in his truck and had a recording of them at least making out, maybe more. But she could hear movement and they weren't talking. That hurt. She also said her and her husband are going to marriage counseling and they're trying to fix it. It was a good talk, both of us were hurting, there was no anger or malice toward each other. One night a few weeks ago my wife was at my house so we could catch up on a show we'd been neglecting. As she was leaving, she said I love you, like she always does, and I gave my usual I love you more response. It's something we've always done, ever since the first time we told each other we loved each other. This time felt different, because we both knew the I love you more was true. We made eye contact and my wife immediately started ugly crying. Full-on hysterical sobs. She walked up to me and hugged me tighter than she had in months and just cried. I held her until she calmed down a bit and then we went for a drive, because that's the best way for her to calm down. We had a long talk. It was the closest we had come yet to actually trying to fix it. She said she had thought leaving me was the right choice for her, but now she had no idea, she didn't know what she wanted or what she was doing, and she just needed time to figure things out. She mentioned marriage counseling, and I told her that marriage counseling is a must before she moved back in with me. I told her I'd do whatever it took to try and fix it. As long as we actually tried. I left that night feeling really optimistic that there was still hope. And then, just a week later, she was back to it is over for sure mentality. So now we're in this weird waiting game. I'm still, stupidly, waiting for her to come home. She is waiting on her boyfriend to leave his wife. And in the meantime her and I are still hanging out. She calls me asking if we can go do something because she's lonely, and I stupidly agree. I told her this should probably stop because while we're together, she is just hanging out with a friend. I am hanging out with my wife. Since she left, I did go to my doctor and get on antidepressants and testosterone. I asked my doctor if she could inject the drug for me and she is, every week. I do feel a lot better. Either because of the happy pills or the testosterone. As for my marriage, I'm still clinging to something that is probably gone. All of my plans for the future involved this woman. I couldn't wait to meet our kids. I couldn't wait to meet the woman she would be as a mother. I couldn't wait to experience the rest of my life with her. Travel, grow old, have grandkids. All of it. And now I'm alone in the house we bought, and I have no idea what my future looks like now. I'm lost. That's pretty much where I am now. Like I said, I don't know if this counts as infidelity, because she did leave me. Though I am sure she had an emotional relationship with this man while I was quarantined. Possibly before. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for reading. I know it was a long winding tale. But it helped a bit to get it all out. If you have any suggestions, advice, words of encouragement, anything, I could really use it right about now. Thanks. Update, I think my marriage is over. Update original post here. I told my wife no. One piece of advice I kept getting in the last thread was to tell her no when she wanted to hang out, to stop being available for her whenever she wanted. So I went to where she's staying on Christmas. The people she's staying with have become friends of mine over the past 7 years that I've been with my wife, so I wanted to wish them a Merry Christmas. My wife and I also had gifts to exchange. We went to her room to do this. She bought me some shirts, a wallet, which she buys me every year. I got her a couple expensive Funko Pops of her favorite characters in a TV show. She looked over at her desk at a video game and shook her head and chuckled. I looked at the game, which she bought for herself while I was with her a couple weeks back, and asked what she was laughing about. She said that isn't the copy I bought for myself. She was basically letting me know what the other man had bought her for Christmas. I was floored by the audacity of it all. Like it was some sort of competition. Never mind the fact that each of the pops I bought cost as much as the game. She then said she wanted to go for a drive and asked if I wanted to go with her. I said no. She said, so you're just gonna go home and do nothing? And I said probably play video games. I told her that I didn't think we should hang out anymore, that she already told me what she wanted months ago. And if we're really done, then I need to start moving on. She shrugged and said okay in the most dismissive tone she could muster. And that was that. I went home and we haven't spoken since. Just wanted to share this with you guys. I know it's a small thing and I don't feel like I won anything here. But I know this is a necessary step if I'm ever gonna dig my way out of this depression I am in. Update number 2, I think my marriage is over. Update part 1 part 2. Hey everyone. It's been 7 months since my last post here. A hard 7 months. I got a lot of great advice in my original 2 posts, some I followed, some I didn't, and I thought I'd share how everything turned out. Shortly after the start of the year, I went mostly no contact. We didn't do lunch or anything at all, and most of our conversations were strictly business. What's the password to the Allstate account? Or do you know where, insert item, is? Sometimes we would go a month or more without talking at all. I know this isn't the absolutely no contact everyone suggested, but it's as close as I could manage. Despite this, I still, yes, foolishly, held out hope of reconciliation. That hope waned as the months went on, and eventually I accepted that the marriage truly is over. She is still waiting for the other man to leave his wife and kids, but he hasn't done it and it doesn't look like he will. but she's certain that he'll choose her one day. Today her and I went down to the courthouse and filed our divorce paperwork. She isn't fighting for the house or any money, so it should just be a quick and clean process. Now we're just waiting for the court to set a date to see a judge. She told me again that she wants to be friends, that none of this was easy for her. I told her that I couldn't be friends with her. I can't just act like everything is fine. Maybe one day, but not anytime soon. And besides, if she gets what she wants and the other guy leaves his family for her, he will not want her seeing me anyways. She said I'll do what I want. So I said, even if you get everything you want, if he leaves his family and picks you, you're going to ignore his feelings like you have mine? She didn't answer. Most of our friends and family know that we're separated at this point, but most still don't know of her affair with the other man. I know the general consensus was to put her on blast so everyone knew the truth. The ones who need to know do know, and I'm satisfied with that. I am contemplating making a Facebook post just saying that we filed for divorce. I'm not going to go into details, the people who need to know the truth know, and I don't want to start drama before we see the judge. I've had a rough day. Mostly, I'm just really sad. A lot of things I thought I was over have crept to the surface again. Mostly I'm just sad that the woman I love is gone forever. Because when I look at her now, I don't see the woman I married. I feel like that woman died a year ago. Anyway, it seems this chapter of my life is coming to an end, and now the process of healing and moving forward can begin in earnest. I don't know how long it will be before I try dating. I feel like I need to be 100% over this before I try. The next woman doesn't deserve to be elbow deep in my baggage. I have to learn how to flirt and date again. Wish me luck. Final update, I think my marriage is over. Update Part 1. Part 2. Part 3. Today was our court date. We went and stood in front of a judge. He asked if we both agreed to the terms of our divorce decree. We said yes, and that was it. An 8-year relationship ended in 5 minutes. It was kind of a surreal feeling. I had been getting ready for this day to come for a year, but now that it was finally here, I realized I wasn't ready at all. While we were waiting for the judge, I just sat there thinking of all the good times we had and how we won't have any more good times in the future. At least not together. An overwhelming sadness overcame me. We used to make each other so happy. At one point I made a comment to her, I still can't believe all this happened. I thought I was going to be married to you until I died. And she said, well, it's not like we can't get married again in the future. And I said, no, we won't. This is it. I wanted to do marriage counseling, but you had no interest in fixing things. Why would we think anything would be different if we got back together? I asked her if her boyfriend had left his wife yet, and she said she doesn't have a boyfriend. So I asked her then, why is his picture your phone's background? She didn't respond. So, she's still clearly seeing him. I found out a while back that he quit his job. His wife gave him an ultimatum, either he leaves the place where he worked with my wife, or she would leave him. So clearly he has no intentions of leaving his wife. And for some reason my wife is still waiting for him. I am planning on giving his wife another call. I did end up making a post on Facebook. I kept it cordial, explained to everyone that we had been separated for a year, that we were divorced now, and I was thankful for all of her family loving and accepting me from the beginning. I asked everyone to keep both of us in their prayers. I kept the reason vague and didn't mention the infidelity. I know a lot of you were telling me to put her on blast, but in the end that just seemed pointless. Instead I just said that our lives are taking us in different directions and there is nothing we can do to fix it. Her sisters know the truth, her mother knows the truth, her best friend knows the truth. They wouldn't let her paint me in a bad light if she started lying. Besides, the divorce is done, the property is mine, there's nothing left for me to do but move forward. Airing out our dirty laundry does not help me move forward. There were a lot of nice comments from friends, her family and mine. A lot of people were shocked, sad, they wished us the best, etc. So that's that. Now all that's left for me to do is turn the page and start a new chapter. I know it isn't going to be easy. I have a lot of things about myself and my life that I need to fix before I even entertain moving on romantically. But I'll get there. My sister made a comment that really struck home. I will share it here with the hope that her words help someone else. You have a full and wonderful life waiting ahead for you. A blank canvas. Don't let the stark whiteness keep you from painting whatever the heck you want. Go make this new, unexpected chapter completely badass. You are the single most incredible person I've ever known. People reap what they sow. You don't need to worry about your harvest. And I can't wait to see all the good things come to fruition for you. It's coming. And you deserve every bit of it. I don't listen to music anymore. Need support. I'm aware this is probably more of a depression thing than infidelity, but the infidelity is what caused my depression, so here I am. I've posted several updates here in this subreddit and have greatly appreciated all of the advice and support you have given me. You can read my entire saga in my post history. I have been divorced for 3.5 weeks now, separated for over a year. I recently noticed that I don't listen to music anymore. At first I thought it was just the emotional stuff that made me think of her, like Black by Pearl Jam, holy shit, that song ducked me all the way up, or music I associated with her like bands we listened to together, road trips, concerts, etc. But then I realized it's music in general. I caught myself flipping through the radio the other day. I'd stop on a song for a minute, turn the channel, repeat. Classic rock. Skip. Rock. Skip. New metal. Skip. Pop. Skip. Country. Skip. Rap. Skip. Upbeat songs, slow songs, happy songs, sad songs. Doesn't matter. Skip. For the most part I listen to sports talk radio or audio books now. I don't know why, maybe it's to not feel so alone. Music used to make me feel happy. I'd listen to it on the way to and from work, at work, while I cleaned, whatever. But now I just don't have any desire to hear anything. I'm aware depression causes a lack of interest in things you used to enjoy, but music was never really a passion of mine. Have you experienced something similar? The fog is finally beginning to lift for me. Recovery. I am a 34-year-old man. Divorced, no kids. My ex-wife and I got together in 2013. A year later I asked her to marry me. 4 years later we said I do. 2 years later, after I quarantined alone for 7 weeks with COVID, she told me she didn't love me anymore and wanted a divorce. I found out that she had been seeing a co-worker 5 or 6 days a week during my quarantine. His wife called me and told me she had grown suspicious and put a recorder in his truck. She had recordings of them having sex. It's been over for a year now. Separated since October 2020, divorced finalized on August 11, 2021. She has since left her adulterous relationship and her partner and his wife are still going to marriage counseling. She has a new boyfriend, and she chose what would have been our wedding anniversary to make her new relationship Facebook official. The other day my ex-wife called me for the first time since D-Day. We've been 100% no contact since then, so it was a surprise to see her name on the caller ID. I answered. This is what she said. Hi. Were your parents in town yesterday and did they use my number to buy steaks and soda? This holiday season, the company we both work for, separate locations, gave us $100 tied to our phone number as a thank you. I told her no, of course not. Not only would they not use her number, but my sister is currently borrowing their only vehicle so they don't have a way into town. She said well they're the only ones I can think of who would use my card to buy steaks and soda. I said well, they didn't. Your app has a receipt on it, have the manager check the camera and see who it was. She said, oh, I will, don't worry. A couple hours later she texted me again and said, found the culprit, sorry. I should have just left it at that, but her accusing my parents of stealing really pissed me off. First time I hear your voice in 2 months and you accuse my parents of stealing. My parents aren't thieves. I'd what they ever did to you for you to think so poorly of them. Maybe next time, check the camera before you make accusations. She said, wow, okay, I wasn't trying to say they did it on purpose. They're just the only ones I know who would buy steaks and sodas with my card. You need to get out of your feelings and stop treating me this way because I left you. Besides, your dad would have been the one shopping and he's always too inebriated to know what's going on, so. And that was when something clicked in my head. This whole time I had been thinking about what we could have done differently. What if we had gone to marriage counseling? Would it have helped? My parents have been nothing but good to her for our entire relationship. My dad never did anything for her to talk about him that way. She said it just to try and hurt me. What followed was the first real conversation we've had about everything. I learned that, to this day, she genuinely believes she did nothing wrong. It wasn't an affair, because even emotional affairs don't count. She's allowed to have feelings for another man if she never does anything physical. She said that I'm just an angry, bitter, sad man with no drive and I always have been, and that she couldn't try to fix me for the rest of her life. This is untrue. I was happy with her, regardless of how I've felt lately. We had good times together. I realized that if she genuinely believes she did nothing wrong, we were doomed anyway. Even if we had tried to fix it, it never would have lasted. Even in the conversation about the steaks and sodas she couldn't give a genuine apology for accusing my parents of stealing. Instead she doubled down and attacked my dad for having an alcohol problem, even though he has never drunkenly used her number instead of his before. At the end of the conversation, she said, I will be coming to get my things soon. Be there, or don't, itk. Yes, all of her things are still in my house a year plus later. Right where she left them. Here she is trying to take control of me and my house and my life. Not gonna happen. I told her I have been packing and moving everything to the living room. Then I asked her not to bring her new boyfriend to my house when she came to get her stuff. She said, don't be ridiculous. He's across the state furnishing our new home. They've been together for a month, and supposedly she's quitting her job of 9 years and moving across the state. Again, trying to hurt me. I've been as low as a crippled cricket sass for over a year. I've been stuck in this cycle of depression and anger that I couldn't find a way out of. This one conversation with my ex-wife made me realize who she is and what I'm getting away from. She's a narcissist, a manipulator, a liar. I am hurting less now about it being over, but I'm left wondering if any of it was ever real for her. Either way, this chapter of my life is ending. For real. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The fog is lifting for me, and I hope it does for you too, if you find yourself lost in it as well.